Okay, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. This is a curious experience for me because for some of you, uh, there's been a vertical relationship where I've been on top as the professor and the student. And that's sort of flipped today, where you're up here as the Board of Visitors, and I'm down here, a guy who works in the trenches as a professor. But frankly, I don't really think of you as my boss, the board members. I think of my boss as the dean of the college. And I see John now here. Thank you, John, for something you wrote the other day when you said, the heart of the university is the college. I couldn't agree more. And I want to talk to you a little bit about my experiences as a professor. And I'll just start by telling you about my day today. It's a non-random sample, but it started out with my working on an endowed lecture that I'm giving next month at another university. So it's time to wrap that up. Then I got galley proofs for an article I have coming out that was part of the Karsh Democracy Initiative. A student stopped by to say goodbye before leaving for spring break. Then I had a meeting about whether I would go up to New York to raise money for the Economic Career Office, which is a really important organization to me within the econ department. So we talked about that. Then over my digital transom came this article from the New Yorker, Will Harvard Bend or Break? And I took a break to read this article. The New Yorker usually tilts left, and I usually tilt right, but the New Yorker stuff is usually worth reading. And this is, I think, worth reading for board members. A very interesting article by Nathan Heller. I don't agree with all of it, but it's good for me to read stuff with which I don't always agree. Then the funniest thing that happened today was I got a phone call from a mother of a former student of mine who was in Econ 201 last fall. And this student had failed my class. I have a practice of writing a personal letter to every student who fails my class. And you may think, well, that's just 2 or 3 letters maybe, but when you have 1,000 students, there's a lot of letters. And this mom, the student goes to the letter goes to the student. The student had shared the letter with her mom, and the mom called me to thank me for writing this letter, and it led to a dialogue with her daughter about her daughter's academic performance at UVA, which was not certainly stellar in my class and not consistent with her high school record. As a professor, I don't get a chance to talk to the parents of my students very often, but this was really a delightful experience about sharing with a mom about her concern about her daughter's academic progress here. And I was grateful that she was grateful that I wrote her daughter. So that's kind of a day, and probably like most professors, it's busy. I work long hours. I've been blessed with a lot of energy, and I'm really grateful that my work as a professor has so many different things: writing, teaching, talking to students. What happens to a lot of professors when they get older is they seem to not like young people as much anymore, but still like young people. I just really consider it a treat to work with young people. I've served on a number of boards, including 8 years on the Board of Trustees of another college in Michigan. So I know something about what you guys do on the BOV. And one thing I know is it's a thankless task. So I will change that and say thank you for serving on the board. I am tremendously blessed to be a professor here. And I use that word blessed in a theological sense, because I get a chance to work with young people, to do research, to go off and write mysteries on the side. It's just hard to imagine a better job to have. Is everything right? No, and I'm going to mention 2 areas of concern of mine. One is DEI. Went around when I joined the faculty, and I thought a lot about it. I tend to think that DEI, the way it's generally implemented, as I understand it, is immoral. I'll just put that on the table. Now, I'm prepared to be talked out of that, like I hold any view that I could be, hey, Ken, you're just wrong about that. I would feel better about DEI if the people who generally implement it were conversant with the works of African American scholars that impress me, like Thomas Sowell, Jason Riley, Roland Fryer, Glenn Lowry. These are people who have shaped my views about DEI, but also experiences. And I'll just tell you 2 quick stories involving the English department. When I came here at UVA, the English department was the crown jewel of the College of Arts and Sciences, and there may be some people at this table who think that's still the case. It is a great department. One of my friends in the English department, who since passed away, had the view that he had to keep quiet about his political views and his economic views because he thought if the department knew about this, he would never get promoted. So he was totally silent about that until he got tenure. I found that really sad. Now, maybe he was mistaken, but that just shouldn't be. Now, fast forward, another professor in the English department that I admire, I've read one of his books, said not too long ago, DEI, that's how we keep the Republicans out. Now, what do you make of that? Is that a joke, a quip? Is there some substance behind it? Whatever it is, I just think about what does that mean for young faculty who hear that? What does it mean for faculty who are not in the progressive mainstream to hear stories like that? But those are stories, and stories are not data, as you indicated. And I'm certainly living proof of the fact that I feel academic freedom here. I can come here and say what I just said to you people, and I don't fear that I'm gonna lose my job tomorrow morning. So it's a complicated area to get a handle on empirically, really difficult. There are things you can get a handle on empirically, and one of them I did. And I have been concerned about an aspect of the undergraduate curriculum in the college. Now, let me just say something about myself that I didn't know when I came here. I get such a kick out of teaching the students, the children of my former students. When kids come up to me and say, my mom had you, my dad had you, I just think that is so great, that is so cool. They usually have a big smile on their face. The only problem that's happened recently is I've had two kids come up to me and tell me that I taught their grandfather. Just led me to go back to my office and have a good cry. But the parents, I really like teaching that. But my heart is really with first gen students. That's who I care about. I'm first gen, and I love to try and help first gen students as much as I value the legacy kids that I teach. And something's happening with the undergraduate curriculum through something called the engagement curriculum. And I asked a student of mine, really super student in Econ 201, an A+ student, I said, could you gather some data on engagement curriculum? And he came up, like a lot of numbers guys like me, I'm a numbers guy too, with about 5 pages of data. I just want to share 2 data points. It's 836 courses in the engagement curriculum. The average GPA across all 836, this is not survey data, these are real numbers, is 3.86. Rounded off, it's 3.9. Rounded off, it's 4.0. In other words, students taking the engagement curriculum, almost everybody gets an A or an A-. Now, is that a problem? Well, I'm an economist. I think about inflation. That's grade inflation. To me, this is so absurd, so much of a participation trophy that really not really is troubled by it. It sounds like something for a Saturday Night Live parody, that you have this curriculum and everybody gets an A. What concerns me is, remember I'm an economist, is I think a lot about alternative opportunities foregone. So what I think about here is what is the alternative opportunity foregone for a first gen kid who's taking these classes that are largely just participatory and for whom he or she thinks, oh, you just get an A for showing up essentially. If that's the case, the data suggests that something is wrong here. And I worry about the first gen kid who doesn't take Calc 2, who doesn't take a biology course, who doesn't take an art history course, because they are, to use another econ term, crowded out. That the alternative opportunity foregone is something that, whether this is a board matter or an administration matter, I don't know. But as an economist, I worry about the alternative opportunities foregone of the engagement curriculum. There's something strange about 836 courses generating an average GPA of 3.9. Okay, I'll stop. You guys are up.